probably the stream that I really wanted to, go into. Post graduation, I initially wanted to go into the business side of tech. So, given the choice between, joining a tech firm and joining a consulting firm, I actually took the consulting firm for 2 years and then joined a venture capital fund called Sequoia Capital, where you were basically looking at investment in the private markets, essentially startups in the private markets. And that was also the time that you got the opportunity to look at the, how the impact is, through businesses are using technology to have impact, on everyone's life. So I think that was probably the theme that resonated most with me. How do you use tech to sort of have impact in people's life? And post that, when I was working, as a market investor, I realized that if you look at the public market investors, they have the luxury of a lot of platforms like a Bloomberg, an Icon, a FactSet, right? That exists. And while private market, has become also fairly significant, the data aggregation when you're looking at private markets, you have to do a lot of things manually. And this has become a sizable, I would say, an asset class or an industry which is creating so much impact if you look at it in the economy. And when investors are, looking for companies, or when founders are looking to, see who are the relevant investors in the market, a lot of this thing happens manually. So that was how the idea of Traction got born. The idea was simple, that can we use technology to build a global platform in this space, in the private markets. And so I probably, for a year, I actually, while working, so it was very interesting that I hadn't coded after 4 years of graduation. And when I was working in the job, just to make my life easy, I started coding on the side, and then I realized that's very handy. And it's not just like a module, and it should become like a platform. So I probably spent like a year just thinking about the idea. And 2013 is when we started with the launch of the company. So this time I was actually in Bay Area in Stanford doing my MBA. And between the first and the second year is when we started Traction. US was interestingly the first market that we started off with, because if you look at private markets, US is a large market, both for private market investors as well as for large corporates. And all the initial customers were like a 10-minute drive, from the campus. So that's how we started in 2013, and also launched India and other countries subsequently. Obviously, now we are all out of Bangalore. We have customers in 50 different countries, and like more than 800 people deep in the Traction today.
That's beautiful. So one of the interesting things when you started in 2013, right? From the idea stage to now, it's been 10 years, and now 4 months back, you guys also went public. So just could you share the product evolution? I think a lot of people would be interested to know how Traction evolved as a successful MVP product out there, and it's been helping a lot of these folks to get insight at just a click of a button, like how Neha mentioned. Previously it was all manual things, so any data analyst, if you approach, he would charge you about 1,000 to 2K per data entry, and it was a lot of hassle there. Traction as a platform has helped a lot of these folks to directly delve into the insights and take those decisions in terms of investments, in terms of research. And personally, as a techie and journalist, I've been using Traction for a long time, and I'm a person, it's a go-to buddy for me in terms of getting to know data in a very organized way. But one thing I would like to say is how the product has evolved. So could you share that journey, like how it started from Google Sheets to what it is today?
Yeah, sure. For a quick check, have people heard or seen any of the output, or seen Traction, or know about the platform? I can quickly tell you about that. So essentially, if it is for investors, for VCs, or for corporates who are looking to invest in private markets or startups. So for instance, if you're looking to invest in startups in India, across different sectors, you typically end up using the platform to find out about different companies, or if you're looking at a company, you want to figure out, okay, who else exists in that market, what are the global comps, etc. So that's one of the key use cases. In terms of the product evolution, that has been very sort of interesting. So the first version was interestingly coded by me. So this was probably I would say SQL and some basic output which was there. Obviously now it's a much richer platform. So I think in terms of product evolution, so one is when you are building a product, the initial 1 or 2 years of the founders disproportionately is spent in getting the product market fit, right? And you would have heard about this term a lot, getting the product market fit. What that is essentially is, it's when you have a repeatable sales, right? Like for instance, if you are building a CRM and if you have like a better CRM, you say, okay, you are, I'm building a CRM which is better. That may be one pitch to the customers. For us, actually, the product did not exist. So we had to go and tell the customers that, you should be using the platform now. So just, the initial 1 or 2 years was spent a lot in working with the customers and in understanding what is the offering. So you have broad understanding about what is the problem, but what is the exact offering, what is the price point. I think that is one thing that founders spend disproportionate time initially. And in our case, for instance, we spent time in, there's a fund called Lightspeed, the venture partners in Bay Area. We actually sat out in their office for the first 3 months. So they were also the customers, and we worked with their senior partners in just refining what should be the offering. So that was the first output. That was in Excel sheets, in a lot of bits of information, which is when you are showing the output to the customer. You are finding out, is this what you need, and how much will you pay for this, right? And once you have your initial paying customer, when the customer is willing to pay, so the first customer that we had signed up was paying us like $60,000 annually, which is a good sum. So we started off with that, and once you have like a few customers, then you understand, that is the point where you have the aha moment that now you hit the product market fit. Right? And once you have that, then it's about just streamlining operations, setting up, building the team, understanding, what skill sets do you require to be able to scale it. The second is that also scaling the sales team so that you're not the only person who's doing all the sales, though you continue probably for the first couple of years to do a lot of sales, but is there anyone else also that can help in that? So I think that is the first step is getting the product market fit. The second step is just building the basic blocks in being able to offer it. The third I would say is just building the organization. So obviously as your product scales after like a couple of years, now you're working with a large set of customers, you have large team. So the third is probably scaling the organization. Understanding what are the kind of teams that you require, what are the kind of skill set that you require, what is the org that you require, right? That's the third thing I would say. And the fourth is probably you continue to understand, hear from the customers and keep iterating on the product. So right now, a lot of our inputs of what the next module is going to be in the product, there's already like a large pipeline of things which are in the queue because you've been working with customers very closely, so you already have a queue of things which needs to be implemented, and you then are prioritizing which ones do you pick up. So it's sort of a very interesting journey. And I would say in terms of product development, the other interesting thing is that it's also important to see which area do you enter from. Like you eventually want to build like the Bloomberg for private markets, and Bloomberg has like a lot of modules. But you have to start with one, right? Because you're starting, on day one with one particular module. I think the other interesting thing is also to understand what is the module that you enter with it today with the limited resources that you have, so that you are able to have paying customers on day one. So this has been sort of the broad evolution, I would say.
So Neha, how does it look today? Like in terms of all the buzz around GPT-4, ChatGPT, API. So now the tech looks completely different. So are you planning to integrate these things into your platform, and what is your vision for traction in the coming months, like from a technology evolution standpoint?
Yeah. So that's correct. So tech is obviously a key component of building this platform. because the amount of information that you work with is large. You are, at the back end, for instance, we today track more than 500 million companies, potential companies which are there. And anytime like a website goes up, we would have it on our back end, right? So that's the amount of data, volume of data, for instance, that we process. Another interesting thing is that our rental bill, for instance, is less than what we pay for cloud. So our cloud bill is more than rental bill. So that is the other interesting aspect that you actually work on really large data sets. So technology is also a key component, and both me and my co-founder actually come from computer science background, so that has been obviously one of the core things. Coming to ChatGPT, so yes, so I think just the way AI has developed and the infrastructure have developed. So this is obviously something that we track very closely because that's very essential. It is a great USP for our business. What ChatGPT has done is very interesting. It is broad. It is just one example of how the infrastructure have got developed right now, which is very commercial grade. Like earlier, probably a couple of years back, you would not have so commercial grade infrastructure. Right now, it is extreme example. Everyone is talking about it because it is giving an example of how good the infrastructure has become. So that is definitely there. And I think for data platforms, there are a couple of ways in which the impact of these platforms are there. So one is obviously on the back-end data processing, which is there. The one most interesting thing that I would say is probably more on the front end, right? Like when you had Satya Nadella ask ChatGPT about what are the favorite food Mumbai things to eat in Mumbai or Mumbai street food, and ChatGPT replies that it's vada pav and bhel puri. So in that case, ChatGPT is not creating the data, but it is essentially or more on the front end. Right? It is more an example of how it is aggregating the data and giving you an answer instead of links wherein you have to click 1 or 2 times and get the answer. So there's a lot of interesting use case of ChatGPT like infrastructure on the front end, which is how do you help the querying for the customer. So if customer wants to know, for instance, what are the interesting AI startups coming out of Bangalore, right? So instead of having 2-3 clicks, they should be able to just send the query and get the answer. So that is one obviously interesting thing. The second interesting thing is also on the content generation that people have talked about, that it's easy to sort of summarize things, it's easy to sort of, from a few summary, create a large paragraph. So more on the, I would say, marketing front, that is probably the other interesting aspect, which is also given good results correctly. So yes, I would say that's a good, so I think right now today every business needs to have like a team, AI team within them to be working on a few initiatives. So some of them are commercial grade and some of them will probably give you results in a couple of quarters, but I think it is important to have a team within their organization.
Thank you, Neil, for that. So now, coming from let's talk from a women-centric perspective, right? So one of the things that women struggle today, they wear multiple hats, like as a mother, as a wife, as a daughter-in-law, and as an employee. I think most of them struggle to maintain professional life versus personal life, and some of them had to let go professional life because of the personal life impact, both in society as well as in professional life. So what would you suggest women? I'm sure like a lot of people would be resonating here with the same thought. So my question is, how should women progress without putting a stop on any of these roles? That's really tremendous what women is capable of across society and different stages of life. But what would you suggest to women to not put a stop on their life and continue progressing in what they have to do? Like you can share your personal anecdotes or your experience where your journey will not put a stop anywhere. It is tremendous. Like what you've achieved in the span of a decade. I think it would be a very inspiration to a lot of women today, and company also going public, which is one of the latest events that you get to see in the startup, the company ecosystem there. So it would be great if you can share your experience to help a lot of women balance it professional and personal without putting a stop. Yeah.
but I think this is a very important question. And I also see a lot of my friends from college who have done brilliantly in their school, in their college, but some of them, when it comes to the professional life, I've seen some of them not take that same amount of seriousness as they were probably in their college, that they would take their studies or they would take that thing seriously. And sometimes because of a lot of added responsibility or a lot of other things, I would see that if I compare them to some of their peers, which are boys, which probably were probably much behind in the school, now are taking their careers very seriously. So I think that is one thing which I would recommend, that in case you want to sort of continue, I think it's important to also take the next step also seriously, so that at least when you look back, you don't feel that you did not do enough. You should feel that you did the best, and then whatever happens, that's there. So just to talk about the added responsibilities that come up in the life cycle of a female. So one that I've seen in the company when sometimes changes happen is, one is when they get married and they have to move location, but that is I've seen it as a lesson of a pause, I would say. But I would say one big pause happens when you have a baby. When you become a mom. I don't know how many of the people can relate. Maybe they are younger, but like that is one thing where you have a much added responsibility to that, and that is one of the time that how do you cope up in the 1 year after that. That really also determines of coming years. So talking about a personal experience. I think being a CEO, unfortunately you could not take a pause. So you had to be available all the while. And interestingly, so we had started the roadshow. So for people who know the process of going public, you have to elaborate roadshow. What that means is that you have to meet a lot of investors. So typically you have like 4 or 5 meetings every day. You do that for about a month. And then you finally after some time you have a filing with SEBI, you do roadshow, and then finally after a few months list, right? So it's a very elaborate process. It probably spans like nearly a year, I would say. So we actually started that process end of 2020, and this was going on in so we had filed with the SEBI 2021. And I became a mom for the first time in 2021. So right in between my roadshow, the baby was born. And it was very funny that I had actually meetings like just one day before the delivery and the week after. So because they were already set. And unfortunately I could not do. So I had gone to the doctor on Saturday, and then she mentioned, you pick a date from the next week, when you can come to the hospital. My meetings were already set up for Monday. So I said, okay, not Monday, maybe Tuesday I'll come. So Tuesday was when the baby was born. And thankfully nothing was there in that week. And from the next Monday, the meetings were already there. So the next Monday, but I think this could have happened only in a Zoom world, because, thankfully you didn't have to travel, so you could take it from a Zoom. So I think that people were sort of kind enough. So that all happened. And this whole process sort of goes on, and the day we had the IPO close, so you have an open and a close date. So that's a 3-day period where you have an issue open and issue close. So the day we had the issue close, the baby had actually turned 1 year. So that is just a process of so I think the one learning is that you cannot plan. Right? Like you cannot plan to have, okay, I'll do this thing personally and this thing professionally, because a lot of things is outside your control, right? So you just give your best foot, I would say, and then let the things happen. So that's probably one thing which sort of worked out. The second thing is that you get a lot of help. I think like for instance, for the baby we had like support from day one. And obviously your parents are also, you can have your parents for help for some time, but don't obviously make them, get up at night and everything. So that I probably took care. But like just have good support infrastructure, that really determines how fast you can probably go back to working, right? And but that is probably one long process that I would say. And then there are a lot of other complications also that whenever you are. So I probably started traveling 4.5 months after the delivery, which is start taking flights, and then when you have to start taking flights, I don't know if people know you have to carry like your breast pump and everything, all along, and then every time the security gets stopped, so you have to spend like additional 10 minutes, on all the security counters. So that goes on, for like a year hassle. But these are very small things, and for me, what really also worked is I used to speak to a lot of my female colleagues, from my previous jobs, and a lot of times what they have done, just sharing, of their experiences and sharing ideas from them, that really worked very well for me. So I would say, just have like unfortunately you cannot plan one thing or the other. Just do your best, and second is like have a good sort of health infrastructure which is there. Plan for the things that you're doing, even on the personal side, that makes your professional very easy. So I'll give another example. So think, even things like your cook comes to you and then says, what's to be cooked, today morning. So what I have done is basically made like a long menu of things, which is of 30 days, and I gave it to the cook. So he understands Hindi, so I've translated that, from English to Hindi. You can actually do that in Google Sheets. It's fairly easy. And so there's a list of like 30 items, so I don't have to tell him, what needs to be cooked. He picks it up and then he puts it in, and then he knows that. So, you have a good variety, you have whatever you need, and plus you don't have to spend time. So I think that is the other thing which works. Like a lot of the hacks in the personal life just makes you very, very efficient, on your professional life as well.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. It's really amazing that they say that it takes a village to raise a kid. That's one step. And I think asking help from people is one easy thing in case you're struggling. Right? Like, that's the best option I feel from this. So now coming to the tech and the VC ecosystem, you've been in that space for a very long time. And in 2013 when you started, when you say women as a founder, right, was not taken seriously by a lot of venture capital firms. They were not looking closely, right? So this has been there for a long time. And Traction as a company, has got like marquee investors, and that's really amazing, like to see that. But the narration is slowly changing, where a lot of these VC firms and organizations giving special access and privileges for women now. So the narration is slowly changing, which is good. But my question here is very simple. Like there are like cut to present. You have like something like VC fund for women, or women accelerator program, or women in tech conference. All of that, right? Like that's good. Like that's good for empowering women and enabling women and build that network and all of that. But imagine like you're constantly, as a woman, you're constantly reminded about it. What's your opinion on that? Like all of this is good, but yeah, being reminded. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a very good question. See, wherever you reach, there is no shortcut, right? There is no, you're not like people don't want to be a diversity candidate, for instance. You don't want to reach a particular position because you are a female. So, and that never happens, right? Like whatever role that you are picking up, especially when you are in the senior leadership, you have to, it's equal playing for both men and for women. Having said that, it is true that the number of women which you have in leadership or in STEM or in entrepreneurship is much lesser. It's much lesser than what you would want to be. And there is a reason why people say diversity is good, because it also brings in the diversity of views. For instance, if you are running a company which is selling a product to female, right? Just having that diversity also in the leadership is helpful in just making sure that, the the decisions are correct for the company. So that's why for the corporate also, just having that diversity is essential. So I feel that, it's good in a sense that people are now talking about, what is the percentage of women that they have in their teams, what is the percentage of women that they have in the leadership, and a lot of these forums which talks about, like a women accelerator or a women-focused, startup fund which is there. I think it's good because I think those probably go a long way in helping the ecosystem, which is right now, lesser than what it should be ideally. And hopefully when it becomes equal, then you would not need a lot of those things.
Amazing, amazing. So that's beautiful. I think we're done with the fireside. So we're